gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. Watch out now. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Everybody watch out. Watch out now. I'm ready for a good time, and I came to groove. The whole band's here, and we came to move. Got a fresh haircut and 2 new shoes. We're here all night like we got nothing to lose. Coming out the jacket, cause we're turning up the heat. I wanna see you clapping when you get up out your seat. It's time to make it happen when we hit these streets. I'm coming in hot, and I can't be beat. Watch out now.
Brought to you by SoccerClinics.com, the world's first coaching website, and the DiBernardo Soccer School, featuring the world's only cognitive coaching course. Hey, Marcus, my friend.
So I was just meditating, Greener. Sorry.
Wait.
All right.
Namaste, my brother. Namaste.
I missed you 10 days without you.
Well, you know, the world did. You know, that's it. I was surprised it's still here when I got back. You know, what an experience it was. First of all, let me do a mic check. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Marcus, you look more handsome now than you did before I left for my meditation retreat. You look more spiritually fulfilled, too. It must be rubbing off on you.
Listen. Every day, a little more handsome. That's the way we do it, Greener.
Well, Marcus, I'm here today to talk about my experience at the Vipassana meditation retreat in Shelburne, Massachusetts. And let me give you the backstory about why I did this and how it came about. And
cool.
What I learned from it, the experience that I went through and what I learned from it at the end. What was my takeout from everything? Was it worthwhile? And would I recommend it? And would I do it again? You know, and, you know, my thoughts going up there in the car, I thought, oh, when I get there, I'm going to my head's going to be buzzing. It's all things are going to be happening. And it really took me by surprise that it didn't even start when I got there. It started the moment I closed the door and left the house and jumped in my car. It was an 1.5-hour ride to Shelburne, Massachusetts. And I just contemplated every single thing. Would I make it? You know, what was it going to be like? Because I did some some research on it, but you don't know everything until you get there. And ultimately, the big question, the last question I asked myself when I got there was, what would my ride be going back like? How's it going to change me as a person? You know, will I be different? Will I shave my head, join a cult, become the soccer Buddha of the world? Traveling around the world to spread the word. But these are the questions that I went to. And the force is strong with me, it is. Pretty good Yoda impression, right? I went for enlightenment. The guy at the liquor store down the street from me where I buy my wine occasionally, and he's from India. And we were talking one day about wellness and health during COVID, and he mentioned Vipassana to me. He had attended it himself. And he said it was life-changing for himself. I says, really? So I'll look into that and I'll do some research. During the pandemic, I actually started to meditate. And I got on YouTube. You know, I was meditating there's plenty of music, meditation music on there. There was classes that people were teaching you. And I started meditating after working out, after swimming, or after I have a small gym at home. And I found it very beneficial, but I wasn't good at it. You know, a lot of times I'd fall asleep halfway through. After 10 minutes, I would snooze off. And I don't think that's the goal of meditation, is to just put yourself to sleep. And that was probably half the time. So I didn't know if I was doing it right, but I knew I was getting some benefit from it mentally and decompressing. But I wanted to learn more, just like you are, Marcus. Okay. You're a man of the world.
Yeah. A little bit. Greener, you called me on your way home. You sounded very alive and very awake. I mean, you were happy. Did your view of enlightenment change? After, like, going into it, did you have one view of what enlightenment might mean and another view after you got out?
Yeah, I had a perception of what the enlightenment was. Everybody, when you mention Buddha and you mention this kind of stuff, they think you're going to, open the heavens for you and give you all this worldly knowledge about the world and life and everything. It's not exactly like that. You do pick up some incredible information and some really insightful and enlightening information. I'll share that with you. But I will honestly tell you by the end of it, well, I'm going to leave that to the end. I'm not going to surprise. I'm not going to let the surprise out the box right now. I'm going to go through it in a little bit of a logical fashion. Let me tell you a little bit about Vipassana. So anyway, I got on the internet. Now, Vipassana meditation goes back centuries. It goes back to the Buddhist monks back over 2,500 years ago, even longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
And Marcus, there's a guy called, I'm going to pull his picture up here. And he's from Burma. And he's Mr. S.N. Joenka. Okay. And he's from Burma. And let me tell you a little about this guy, because look at him closely.
Yeah.
Now, he died, I think, in 1993, had a long life. And 2003 he died. Had a long life and phenomenal person. But I have not wanted to punch somebody in the face so many times as this guy. The whole retreat, when we watched these videos, and I'll explain in detail, you'll get it later. But I wanted to just punch him because he got on my nerves so much in these videos. And that was one of the battles I had to face during meditation. But again, I'll talk about that when I get into when we started meditating. So I applied online to the Vipassana Center in Massachusetts, which is the closest to me. And they have them all over the world, on every continent, in African nations, in Asia, in Europe, all over the world. Chile, they have one in one of the major hardcore prisons in Chile to help the prisoners there. And it's not just about learning how to meditate. There's much more deeper things to it than that. There's body scanning. That's the next level, and we'll talk about that. But it's a mindful approach to your life, to being happy, to being well, to be a great person on this world, to be loving to other people, to be charitable, to be humble. There's lots to it. And all the qualities, no matter what religion you prescribe to, are applicable to every religion. It's a non-religious society, organization. It's not Buddhism. It's not Hinduism. It's not Catholic. It's nothing. So that's what I really liked about it. Because you're always wary, am I going to a cult, right? Am I going to go there and they're going to try and brainwash me in a month, in 10 days, and I'm going to go back home, my head shaved, and tell my kids I'm going to, go to India or Thailand to study. And talking to Thailand, did you know that most men in Thailand actually have been monks?
Really? No, I didn't know that.
It's a very prestigious thing for your family and for a man, and it's a very honorable thing to go through monk's training for at least 3 months. Okay. Women in Thailand prefer to marry men who've been monks because they are generally more honest and more humble and more, grateful, better people.
So, Greener, you would consider what you went through a skill set and part of a holistic lifestyle that most people are probably missing in Western society. Is that correct?
Yeah. And you can only, everybody's experience at Vipassana training, as I tell you, is a different experience. If me and you went at the same time and we both survived the 10 days, your experience would be different from mine. There would be some similarities, but your experience would be different from mine. Listen, Marcus, there was 50 people there, okay? There was 25 women, 25 men from every demographic on the planet. There was guys as young as 19, older guys like me there. There was neuroscientists there. There was doctors there. There was hedge fund businessmen there. There was student from Harvard. There was all kinds of kids, all different backgrounds, different religions. In the main hall, when we sat there, there was a Indian, African American, Caucasian, all different religious backgrounds too, but they went there for a different reason. Listen, we all went on the same journey together, 50 of us for 10 days. But at heart of everything, we went for one common purpose, and that was to be enlightened and to learn how to be happier in our lives. We had a common cause. And I know me and you talked about this a little bit briefly this morning when I emailed you and that. And when it relates back to soccer later on, we talk about that. To have better kids in your team, to have better citizens, to enable these kids to be better sons, better fathers someday. Basically, everybody's going there to be a better person.
You know, it would be interesting to, obviously you're going to relate this to soccer, which is really important, and how we can use this. It would be really interesting to see how all those people in their different professions, how do they bring that back to their professions and make an impact in a positive way? That would be interesting to know as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to, round everything up and apply that back to soccer at the end of it. But so Marcus, let me tell you, so I get to, first of all, I pack my bags. All right. I'm on a waiting list because it's pretty hard to get on this course. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, bear in mind that the course is free. You don't pay a penny. Okay. Everything is free. The food's free. The accommodations are free. Everything is free. And so a lot of people all over the world want to get on this course. So I had applied to it. And about 6 weeks later, after I applied, they said, there's a big waiting list. 6 days before this course, they called me up and said, look, somebody dropped out. Would you be interested in coming? I says, yeah, I'm in, So it was a matter of, I had no real preparation for it, mental preparation for this. How do you plan for 100 hours of deep meditation in 10 days,
Right.
And so basically, the code of it is that you have to dress very minimal, very bland. You can't take T-shirts like this with logos on it. It has to be a plain shirt and baggy pants. Women cannot wear like spandex pants or anything revealing, or skirts. It's because they want as little distraction as they possibly can. They see what they're doing, Marcus. They're taking you out of your normal environment where we've got social media, everything going on TVs, all this outside, distractions, and put you in an environment where you minimize the amount of distractions that you have. And so you have to abide by their policies and their rules, and they call precepts. I'm just going to show you, we can start off by, so anyway, when I got there, I had to hand in my phone. Okay. When's the last time you went without your phone for 10 days?
Never. Actually, let me not say that. 7 days, Barbados. I shut it off for 7 days.
Yeah. But by and large, most people don't, right? We become attached to our phones.
Right.
And it's pretty sad, really. When you have your phone taken away, I did not miss my phone, to be honest. I did not miss my phone one bit. And I think the amount of times I'm looking down at my phone, texting on, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on all these social media, because, that's what I do. And it's amazing how quickly your brain shifts from needing it to not needing it.
Right.
Okay. So no TV. There was no distractions at all. So when we got there, we had to hand in our phones. They took us to our room, and I'm going to give you a little tour of the facilities in a minute. Took me to my room. It's just like a single dorm room with a bed. Very limited stuff. You had to bring your own towels, and we had a little alarm clock just in case we missed the gong, to wake us up, and that was it. You had to entertain yourself at night. So the schedule. Let's look a little bit about. Well, before we go to the schedule, let's do just a little order here. So, Marcus, so when I got there, and I knew this before I had gone, and bear in mind, I read some of the reviews. Some of the people who had this experience did not come out good. Some people who had some really, mental health issues who went and took this, they don't recommend it if you have any kind of mental health problems.
Okay.
It's definitely going to help with anxiety. It's definitely going to help with depression, and it's going to help, in those kind of areas. But if you're schizophrenic, or if you have a real serious mental disorder, then this is not the place for you to be. You have to have a pretty much stable mind going into this, because let me tell you, it is a roller coaster. You have to expect, you get some crazy, and I'll talk about this too. You get some crazy dreams, absolutely crazy dreams, because you're going to places where you've never been before mentally, or rarely been, or haven't visited for a long, long time. 100 hours of reflecting and projecting. It's mind-boggling what goes through your mind and what comes up and how real it is. Okay. Because let's face it, how much every day do you actually sit down and be in the present moment? We're always thinking about the next practice, the next game, the next activity or event we've got to do with our family. Or if you're not doing that and you're reflecting maybe about some memories in the past, but actually being in the moment. People know it. People are aware of that.
Yeah.
It is the hardest thing to do, to be
Right.
mindful of the moment, to live in the moment. And that's one of the big things they teach you is how to live in the moment. And I experienced that full on, flat on for 10 days. It was phenomenal. And but let me share with you. So the first thing we had to do was to abide by the precepts or the laws of the Vipassana. So let's look here. Everybody has to do this. The precepts, anybody who's attend. The number one law is abstain from killing. Yes, abstain from killing. So
Okay.
I had to ruin the first plan. I had to put my duct tape and the rope back in my trunk, and that plan was out the window. But obviously, abstain from stealing, abstain from all sexual activity. You're nowhere near the women there. They're segregated. You can't have conversations. You can't have eye contact with anybody. So they really, close the door for you having any kind of interaction with any females on this course. No intoxicants. As we go down here again, abstain from eating after midday. Our meals, Marcus, were at 6:30 in the morning, which was a bowl of porridge. And then we had vegetarian meals at 11:30, and then that was it. We had a cup of tea at 6 o'clock if you wanted one, but no food. So we were living from a food standpoint on a very minimal amount of food for those 10 days. Abstain from sexual entertainment and abstain from using a high luxury bed. So the bed I had was just like a college dorm bed that I slept in. Pretty comfortable, actually. When you're tired, it's pretty comfortable. But when you look at it, I mean, they want to get you an environment like a monk, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they told us. When a monk goes through training, a Buddhist monk, they'll sleep on the floor, and they wear the most humble clothes. They'll wear a gown, and slippers and sandals. And they strip them of all their worldly belongings. The big thing about being a monk is that noble silence, is that they're not allowed to talk with anybody, because they feel that when they're allowed to talk with people, to say things that are unnecessary, so they have time to reflect more on the things that they want to say. And when they do speak, it holds more importance, because they've considered and thought about what they're saying much more than just opening their mouth every second of the day.
It's funny, Green. I know you'll probably get into this later, but so when Pep Guardiola in the cafeteria would make, no cell phones, no whatever, so the players had to talk to each other. But you're almost saying that noble silence can also bring a team together or people together or whatever it is. It's kind of interesting.
In a strange way, because when we meditated, Marcus, there was, and I'll show you on the video, you'll see it on the video, it was in a big hall, meditation hall. And the men and women were split up. So the men were on one side and the women were on the other side, and the lights were dimmed. Now look for 10 days, I didn't talk to anybody, any of my fellow students, right? Yet we had designated, cushions we would sit on, same spot every day. I was near the back of the hall. And but the guy to my left of me was always the guy to the left of me. The guy to the right was always the guy. And I had, the people in front of me. And never talked to them, and it's amazing. You talk about noble silence. It is amazing. What blew my mind more than anything, by the end of the week, the last day, we were allowed to speak to each other. And what blew my mind was how incredibly close I felt to those group of men, and people were there, but particularly the group of men who I spent the time with. How did I develop such a strong bond when I never spoke to these people and never had eye contact with one of them? Why was it on the last day we felt like we were a band of brothers, that we had went through a war together, that we had went through hurdles together, that we were a team? It epitomized, for me, being a coach, it epitomized what a team should be.
You think that's naturally, Greener, because you guys shared the experience together of that discipline, and you had to go through it and you all lived it? And just like on a team, if you all have a great work ethic, you might not have to like each other, but you respect each other because you all have these core things in common that you needed.
I would say it wasn't unlike, if I say, it wasn't unlike, let's say we went through a natural disaster together. Okay. And we were caught in the bottom of the building for 3 days, and we went through it together. me and you would be bonded for life by that experience, right?
Sure.
And so I think being in that experience and knowing somebody was sitting next to you, you weren't alone, that they were going through the same thing as you, maybe in their own different way, but you survived it together. We did see, 5 guys quit during the course of that 10 days. 5 guys went home. We were left with 20. And, but it was interesting. So first of all, I had to wrap around my head around how am I not going to talk for 10 days? You know me, Marcus. I like to talk, right? How am I not going to be on my phone? All these things were so foreign to me. But I went in open-minded and I said, I'm going to try this. It's something my closest friends didn't even think I'd make it. I'm not sure my girlfriend was convinced I was going to make it. But I was committed to it, but I wasn't sure. I honestly wasn't sure if I could do it. So, as I told you, we got there. They give us our room. I unpacked my stuff. And the first meditation was the next morning. Okay. So, we had 10 days of meditation, but we had arrival day. So, I was actually there 12 days. And the day you leave at the end. So, it was a 12-day trip. So, the first morning, so this is our daily schedule. So we would be up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and at 4 o'clock every morning, outside your room, Marcus, you would hear the big gong at 4 o'clock in the morning. That meant get out of bed. So you had half an hour to shower, and after that, at 4:30, you had to show up in the meditation hall, and then we did 2 hours of deep meditation. And we do an hour, then a 5-minute break. They would say, guys, you've got a short break, back as soon as possible. Take you 5 minutes, go to your room, have a pee, come back, bang, another hour of deep meditation. And then we would go and have breakfast, as I said, which consisted of a bowl of porridge and a cup of tea. That was it, and a banana maybe, every single morning. And back again, meditating again. We'd have a lunch break, which was actually the lunches were great. I'm not a vegetarian,
right?
But it's a strict vegetarian diet, and I had some great stuff. I enjoyed it very much, and that's one thing that I've took away from the course is that I'm eating vegetarian right now, and so I kept up with that. And I'm a big coffee guy. There was no coffee; we're just drinking tea. And you know what it is about tea, Marcus. You become paranoid. There's some points in those 10 days you become a little paranoid. Okay, it's a mind trick. It's a mind trick.
Paranoid of what?
Your head's going all over the place. And so when we were having breakfast, right? They changed from PGT. Have you heard of PGT?
No.
This is the maker of PG. It's a PGT, and like a plain tea. So Wednesday, they have chai tea, right? I've never even heard of chai tea. I know it's popular, but I've never heard of it. I've never tried it. Have you tried chai tea?
Yes, I love chai tea.
Well, it's got a bit of a kick to it, right?
Yeah.
Bit of a taste. So I'm getting the tea and I'm starting to drink it. And I'm saying, what the hell is this? I was seriously for like,
you think they're drugging you?
20 seconds thinking, hey, are they sedating us? Listen, what is this place? I mean, are we going to be like sedated and walk around drowsy all the time? It's just for like 30, but I'll tell you some of the stuff that goes through your head. It is absolutely crazy. But the meals were great. And listen, something about the food. And as I told you, they tried to put you in the life of a monk, and the food that we eat was very minimal, like I said. And there's a reason for that. They want you to live at the very minimal in terms of food and living conditions, etc. But also, when Buddhist monks go through training, Marcus, one of the things they have to do, aside from dress humbly and sleep on the floor and have noble silence, one of the things they make them do is they make them in the morning go around the villages with a wooden bowl and beg for food. That's part of their training. So they are at you know, they rely on the generation and the generosity, I mean, of the villagers to supply them with food
Mm.
for their generosity. And that's why they do that, because they give you a little amount of food, the minimum that you need. But everything I ate in those 10 days was given to me by the generosity of donations who donate to this organization.
Did you feel that was a humbling thing?
It really hits you at the core.
Yeah.
It realizes that that bowl of porridge you eaten was donated by somebody you don't know, and money they earned through their hard work and donated it there for a great cause to help me. And
That's yeah. It's really cool. It's funny because remember, coaching your whole profession, your whole life, a lot of this is ego driven, isn't it?
yeah, and that's what they do. That's why it's there, to take away any ego that you may have. To when you go and beg for food, you don't have an ego, and then you
Mhm.
start to realize, and you have a great appreciation, and it's a humbling experience. And I thought about that when I was eating my breakfast or eating my lunch, and I thought about, indirectly, who was the guy or who was the woman who donated the money so I could enjoy this meal, you
Yeah.
know? And then it makes you obviously really hard think about paying that forward in some way that you can in your own life. When you see somebody on the side of the road who says, out of a job looking for money, do you give them $5 or whatever? Or do you help organizations with food donations and food drives and all these kind of things? It really, enlightens you more and gives you a great appreciation. So from that, again, back to the daily schedule, from lunchtime, we had to go back to group meditation for another couple of hours. And then that goes on all through the night until we get into the teacher's discourse, which is a video. We had to watch a video for an hour and a half every night on top of meditating. It was a full-time job, absolutely a full-time job. So what is Vipassana? Okay. Vipassana is not a rite or a ritual based on blind faith. And they tell you that. They say that, look, you don't come in here and in those 10 days, everything that we tell you, you don't have to believe blindly that everything we tell you is right. Okay. What they tell you is that you take out from your experience what you think is going to help you in your life.
Mhm.
And you're going to take out what you feel was important for you, Marcus, in that course. I'm going to take out what I felt was important for me and what I was looking for. And like I said, all of us were on that same journey who took that course, but we were all looking for enlightenment and peace in our minds. But we all came from different journeys. And that was one of the big things that I learned. We'll talk about this at the end. Was I was really, it really reinforced how blessed I was and how loved I was, and how many great friends like you that I have in my life, and the relationship that I have with my girlfriend and my kids, and my family, and my job, my career, how blessed I am, because I know that more than a couple of the people who were on that course with me were there for totally different reasons.
Mm.
They shared their personal story with me, and it
Mm.
wasn't a good one, and it wasn't one I wouldn't want to be in. So I imagined when I was contemplating for 100 hours, I thought about what they were contemplating. Was it good things? Was it bad things? Was it struggle? Was it torment? And how they resolved it. So it gives you a deeper empathy for what other people are going through in their situations. As I said, my experience was different from the guy next to me. So I'm going to show you a video right now, Marcus, and then we can talk a little, get into the deeper side of meditation a little bit, the techniques I learned and what I learned after that and how it applies to football. But I'd like to show you a video. I may
Sure.
stop it at certain points just to make a couple of highlights here and explain what it is in the video. So I'm going to show you this video, and this video is it'll show you the facilities there at the Vipassana. Now, it is a very old facility. It is all built by the generosity of donors. Like I said before, you don't pay.
Mhm.
It's all free. But what they will ask you is that if you feel that you've took something away from this course, this retreat, if you feel like you've benefited, please donate. And they don't put a number on it. They don't say, hey, give us $100, give us $10. If you don't want to donate, you don't donate. And that's the beauty of it. It is supported and funded by, people who have former people. And I believe you have to be a former pupil to donate to the organization. They don't just take money from anybody. The other thing is too, Marcus, is that, and this is incredible, again, from every side that you look, you're humbled. Because the people are there for the right reasons. There's no bad reasons to be there. It's all good. Everybody's looking to improve, and everybody's looking to make this world better. The teachers who teach the course do it for free. Many of them are former students who went on there. When I was there, I was one of few. I think there were maybe 3 or 4 of us were first-time guys. We were rookies. Many of them had been there for their 2nd, 3rd, 9th time. One guy was there for his 9th time.
Jeez.
And what they do, they recruit, or they ask people who have been there before if they would come back as a server. And a server is somebody who serves the food, and they have or helps around with chores that need to be done. And when I go and had my breakfast, my meal, there was a guy there, serving everybody on his plate and handing us that plate, and another guy washing the dishes, and they go back to the retreat. And on top of them doing their chores, they have to attend all the meditation sessions too, the 10 hours of meditation. And again, it's just incredibly, incredibly humbling that these people will come back and give back to people. But they say that when you come back as a server, it's a different experience from being there as a pupil, because you're firsthand really getting the gratitude of seeing people who are reliant upon you, and you'll get helping them firsthand.
You know what it makes me think of in the soccer world sometimes is, how you always used to hear, freshmen pick up the cones or pick up the equipment, right? And I always thought, it's always nice. I always picked up everything for me as a coach, because I wanted to be seen as the guy who's also pitching in. So seniors, the coach, everybody. It's interesting because, if you don't do things like that, then you have almost like a class system, right? Which is the opposite of what you want. There's so many things that could go back and forth with this. Phil Jackson was huge into this. I read a lot about Phil Jackson and how he brought this to all his basketball teams, like the meditation and being in the moment, and very, very interesting stuff, how it can cross over. I'm really anxious to hear how you're going to tell me how it crossed over, Greener, and all your ideas about it.
And you know what, too, Marcus, though? It's called servant leadership. It's doing things for other people and expecting nothing back in return. And that's something that I think there are a lot of people in our communities all over the world who are dedicated to that. And they don't get enough recognition and enough attention. You switch on the news, it's all bad news, bad politics, this and that. We don't highlight these people enough. The guy who was my guru, okay, they don't call him the guru there. They call him he was the main teacher. Then he had assistant teachers there too, guys who came back. But what a great guy. Super, actually a little bit of an athlete too. Played college basketball, I think, at the D3 school. Yeah, a guy called Elisha Smith. And fully enough, his wife was the women's guru, or the women's teacher. And so when we walked into the meditation hall, we would get there first. And then a couple of minutes later, the 2 teachers would come up and sit on a podium, and then total stillness, absolute total stillness for 5 minutes before we then went into our hour of meditation. Great guy, had an opportunity to talk with him. And, one of the things I experienced that was bothering me was going through this whole meditation. I couldn't sleep at night. I found it very difficult to sleep after meditating for 10 hours because your mind is going at 100 miles an hour. You're bringing in pictures and events and moments and replays and reels in your head over and over and over and over and over and over when your eyes are closed and you're deeply meditating. And then when you're ready to sleep, last thing you want to do is close your eyes because all these things are projecting again inside your head to the point where I would wake up yelling out things. And I wrote things down, I memorized them. When I woke up screaming crazy shit. It was like one night I woke up screaming, "It's going to get prickly down there." I don't know. I'm surprised I didn't wake the whole dorm up. I was shouting, "It's going to get prickly down there." And there's another night about 1 o'clock in the morning, I was screaming for help.
Oh, that's great.
I was being abducted by terrorists, me and another buddy of me, and they were throwing us into this van, and they had, machine guns and all this kind of stuff. But Marcus, it was real. It was 4K, it was vivid. And it was so real. I woke up screaming for help in the middle of the night. I asked my guru at the end of it, I said, what the hell is going on here, man? I said, I've been having wicked nightmares, just crazy nightmares and dreams all week. And he just said, look, it's the deep mind. He says, you've been digging into places in your mind that you just don't go there. You've never been there before.
I thought you were going to tell me something really crazy, like England won the Euros or something.
Well, you know what? I didn't even know the Euros, anything. I was out of touch with anything, And like I said, I actually didn't miss the Euros. I didn't miss it. I enjoying it now, but I didn't miss it. I wasn't like crying because I was missing soccer. And, I've had my life full of that. I was there to learn, and I wanted to get a clean slate. But let me show you this video. Then I'm going to go through the whole thing about meditation, and we'll get to what were the key takeaways if anybody wanted to do this. I'll show you this video. Now, bear in mind, I was not allowed to tape anything because I didn't have a camera, didn't have my phone, didn't have a video camera. I wasn't allowed. They don't allow you to tape during the course. Okay. So when the course ended, they allowed me to walk through the facility with a camera to photograph just in the facility, just because I wanted you to get like a first-hand look at really where I was living. That was my home for 10 days.
Yeah.
And I'll stop and explain some of it to you. Okay, so which one was this? Beautiful place. Marcus, I'm just going to stop that there. Can you hear me? Marcus? Hello?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Marcus, this is the dining room. Okay, this is where we ate every single day. Right in the middle there, that second table right in the middle, that was my chair. Okay, that's where I had to sit every single day at 6:30 in the morning, 11:30 for our lunch. And on the end of the tables were the other guys, then the other tables, and all the way around the room. Do you notice the tables that are facing the wall with the windows?
Yes.
Well, some of the guys had to sit there, which sucked because you couldn't see anybody. You're just looking at a wall for 10 days when you're having lunch, right? But I was in a strategic position. I had great peripheral vision. I get out the corner of my eye, I could glance. Now, bear in mind, you can't have eye contact, but we did look at each other when people weren't looking at you. If you were head down eating your meal, I would be eyeballing you and see if there was any signs there that I could figure out who you were, what you were doing. And one of the big things, Marcus, is that they teach you is that great lesson. And one of the most powerful lessons for me was don't judge, just observe. Okay? Don't judge in life, just observe. And now when you're with these 10 people when you're with these 20 people every single day and they sit in the same spot and you have your breakfast and your lunch together, it's the most natural thing in the world to judge, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got the best seat in the house. I'd be thinking how I could knock you off so I could get that seat.
Well, there's no chance of that, son. Okay, and I'll tell you why. So, but listen, don't we judge people by their tattoos, by their weight, by their height, by their skin color?
Of course.
By how they walk, their mannerisms. We automatically judge people straight away. And so basically what they're telling is don't judge. You really know nothing about people, or don't judge situations. Just sit back and observe. Observe your body. Be more aware and just be more observant. And so I couldn't really do that. I wasn't really judging, but what I didn't want to do. So the first day, I didn't want to go 10 days thinking these guys were nothing, just people. So what I did was, and this is the way I think, and I had crazy, funny conversations with myself, So I give everybody a nickname, okay? So I had a map of the layout, and I give them numbers and give them nicknames for each one. So some of the guys, and I'm going to show you a picture at the end, and maybe you could identify them by the nicknames. So one guy, I called him Boss Man because he looked like he was an Italian mafia kind of looking guy from maybe Greece or somewhere, but he looked the part, like he was a don, a mafia don. Okay, so he was the boss man. Cannonball was the other guy. I called him because he had a baldy head, a shiny baldy head like yours. So I called him Cannonball. And this is no diss on these guys. This is not to judge them in any way. It was just my way, Marcus, of identifying the guy. So when he come in, I said, hey, there's Cannonball. Cannonball's here. Lee, because he looked like Bruce Lee. Okay, and he had the robe on and all his gear, the real outfit where everybody was sweatpants, t-shirt. He looked really, Buddhism.
Yeah.
He had the whole outfit, everything. He looked the part. Fingers, okay.
Oh boy.
Fingers, because when we meditate, many of them wrap blankets around them when they meditate.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of activity going on under that blanket, so I call them fingers. I don't know what was going on.
Okay, all right.
There's Edgy, the chief. You ever seen One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest?
I did.
The big chief there. One of the guys looked like the big chief.
Another
guy called State Farm because I thought he looked like an insurance guy, right?
Okay.
Shawshank.
Oh yeah.
All right. Yeah, he looked like one of the guys actors out of Shawshank. Another guy called TikTok. Okay, I call him TikTok because he looked like I think I saw him on a TikTok on my phone. Another guy called the Informer because I was convinced that he was there to watch all of us and report back to the main office, right? Then he kind of nefarious activity going on. And me, I was called the Falcon. So
Ooh, I like that. That's very important.
The Falcon. Give myself that prestigious name because I was perched in a good position to see everybody. All right. Now, and then you're thinking about, I wonder what Cannonball does. I wonder where he's from. I wonder where the chief's from. I wonder where from State Farm or Bossman, TikTok. What do they do? What's their life like? And so you start coming up with these scenarios in your head and everything, But if you look at that picture right to the left beside the fire extinguisher, do you see it?
Yeah.
There's an exit door there, right? So I was looking at the exit door every day. To the left of that was Chief, the big guy, okay? So around the third day, all these scenarios were playing out in my mind, kind of crazy stuff. I said, hey, when are we going to make our escape, from here? And I was looking for signs. And the chief dropped his napkin. And I'm thinking, is that a sign? So I'm waiting for somebody else. I was ready to go. And I was just imagining, like 3 seconds, we're all going to charge that exit and run out. I thought there was some kind of signs they were giving us. That was the cue right there. You start playing all these things in your mind, it's crazy. But that's the way you get along for it. I wasn't judging anybody. It was just my name of, I want to put an identity to them that I could remember them and get familiar with them, by the end of the week, it's amazing now what those people really were. Doctors, right?
Yeah.
Doctors, hedge fund people in international financing, people in science, a student who's just in junior college, loves music, wants to go in maybe agriculture, a doctor. The guy next to me, actually, who sat next to me, is a doctor from the next town over. And actually, I'm gonna go out with dinner with him in a week or two.
Are you gonna talk to him when you go to dinner, or are you just?
No, we're just gonna stare at each other. That's pretty funny, Marcus.
Yeah, thanks.
So this is where we had breakfast and lunch every day. Marcus, this is the long hallway to the meditation hall, okay? We had to walk this, I don't know how many times every day, up and down, up and down. The thing about this hallway is that, let's say we meditated for an hour in the meditation hall, and the guru says, right, you've got a couple of minutes before we get into the next one. You want to get to your bathroom in your room as quick as possible to pee. Because there's no getting up. Once you're meditating, there's no getting up to go to the bathroom.
Bro, what if you really have to go?
Now, you're going to pee in your diapers, son. You're going to pee in your pants. Whatever you're wearing, you're going to pee in it. No, but I don't, you know what? I never saw anybody do that. I think everybody's prepared. They're prepared. They're smart enough and prepared enough. If you really need to go, I guess you really need to go. But you don't want that. You don't want to be that guy. You know what I'm saying? So when they say go, so my bedroom is the men's dorm is right at the other end of this long corridor. And what I learned quickly was to be the first out to get to your room. Because the first day, I let people out first. And then they walked towards us down this corridor. So I was behind them. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? These guys, these 20 guys are walking down the corridor, slow motion, right? They got the slowest walk you could ever imagine. And I thought, you're kidding me? Are they doing this on purpose? And nobody was overtaking each other. I don't know if that's an unwritten rule or whatever. But Marcus, you know how monks, you could imagine a monk in a movie just walking real slow.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what they were doing. And eventually at the end of the course, I asked the guy, I said, what's the deal with that? And they said, it's part of their meditation. And the tempo in which they walk was part, but it didn't help me peeing in the bathroom, right? So after that, I always made sure I was the first one out. And what was funny, one day near the end, I was in front of the guys and we're walking up this corridor and they're all walking slowly. And you're in bare feet or in socks, right? There's no shoes allowed.
Okay.
So you ever seen Tom Cruise in that movie where he slides across the floor and he socks?
Oh yeah, risky business.
Yeah. So I had this urge to do it. So while all these are, you know, like humbly walking slowly to the meditation hall, I just ran and slid with my socks all the way down this slide.
That's a no-no.
Classic moment, though.
Yeah.
Classic moment. So you'll see the meditation hall in a second. Beautiful place. So Marcus, this is the meditation hall. This is where I spent, 10 hours meditating every day. Now, on the side I'm at was where all the men sat, and on the far side is where all the women sat. And Marcus, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So it was never this brightly lit when I was there. Never. The lights were always really dim. You couldn't actually see the faces of the females or some of the guys in front of you when you entered the hall. It was very dimly lit. And up on there where you see those seats, that's where our teachers, or as I said, the gurus sat, the men.
Is that the position you sat in?
Early on, I did, yeah, for the most part. And then, but if you get uncomfortable, you can actually sit in a chair, or you can get other cushions. When you'll see in the next video slide, you'll see that they supply you with so many cushions. The big thing is, they don't want you to go through torture. They want
Can you lay down?
You're not allowed to lie down. And when you meditate, you're supposed to meditate. You can't put your head down when you meditate like you're praying. You're supposed to keep your head up straight while you're meditating. Okay. But some people did fall asleep.
Okay.
And you could hear them snoring.
Happened
once or twice. So the manager, there's a manager there who had to come up and wake the guy up, hey, wake up.
Anybody fart?
I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So there you go. They give you plenty of cushions. Everything that you need is right there for you. Everybody's got their own assignment. And that's what it would look like. Okay. And so you said, did anybody fart? And that was the big question I had, Day one, no. Day two, no. I said, are you serious? And I was this, nobody's got one brewing in there, and what is the reaction going to be if somebody,
I would lose it. That's great.
Marcus, so one of the guys farted, right, in our group. And it was a really squeaky, loud. It was like a squirrel coming out of squeezing out of a tight
Oh, it's great.
pipe or something. And loud. Nobody blinked an eye.
Really? It's so
Yeah.
disappointing.
No. And when you think about it, hey, don't judge, just observe, right?
I just keep thinking they gave you porridge so, to regulate
Well,
you.
what was hilarious go through my mind is this is, okay, what happens if one of the guy farted, right? And then one of the women retaliated
That's great.
on the other side. And then you hear a shout from one of our guys, hold your fire, hold your fire. And then another girl farts, and then all the guys retaliate at once, and then it's just going backwards and forwards. That would be one of the funniest skits I've ever seen.
Listen. That's great.
But, the worst situations for sure, at least 2 times where I was dying for a pee. You just drank too much water, and you get to that 50th minute, man, and you're just killing you. It's just killing you. But you learn the hard way.
I'm sure it's happened, Greener, where they have to bring out the mop.
Yeah, the pagoda cells are these cells that they had in like the palace structure that they've got, Marcus, and that's the next level you go to. That's a really deeper, more isolated form of meditation. You're basically going into a closet. You're sitting down in a closed closet. You have your own closet, and you go in there and you sit down. And now listen, now it wasn't mandatory. Everybody was assigned to their own pagoda cell.
Yeah.
It wasn't mandatory, but they said, look, it's there if you want to meditate in between meditation sessions, right? So at the end, when I talk with people, some of the guys were saying that was a game changer for them. They went to a totally different level when they went into these cells, total isolation.
Is there a door that shuts behind you?
Yeah, I'm going to show you. And for me,
I
was in there for a minute and a half, and I couldn't stand it. Very claustrophobic for me.
Yeah.
I'll show you here. There it is. It's just a little cupboard. No. Open the door.
You light in there? No.
No light.
Oh.
And this is the pagoda right there, which is kind of like the temple there. We didn't really go on that much in that place much. So at lunchtime, you'd get about half an hour break after lunch. That was your own time, okay? And maybe a little bit longer. I used to go for walks. Most of the people at first, which was strange to me, they stayed in their rooms during the break. It's a beautiful day out. I mean, how could you stay in your room after meditating all day and being inside? I wanted fresh air and sunshine, so I would go outside. But what I did find myself doing when I was outside, I would find a spot, and you'll see it in a second, where I'd sit down and be isolated. And I'd find myself talking out loud to myself so I could hear my voice. I wasn't allowed to talk to anybody else, but they didn't say I couldn't talk to myself out loud if nobody was around. So I would catch myself telling jokes to myself out loud. So, yeah, that's a great joke, gaffer. And I'd be laughing and just making shit up. It's like, but the other thing was my appreciation for nature was reinstalled. So Marcus, at lunch times when I did get some space to get outside, again, half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, I'd go outside and I'd sit on this log right here. And it's a beautiful Zen kind of stream just running by. And I found myself meditating in addition to what I was supposed to be meditating. I sat there at, 5:30 in the morning, one time, something real early in the morning. And I was thinking about what I would be doing if I was in Connecticut at that time. Would I be appreciating these sounds? When I talk about, don't judge, observe, that applies to a lot of different things on a big scale. And a lot of that is observe the sounds around you, you know? And I sat on that log and I listened for stuff I really hadn't consciously listened about for a while. You know, hearing the birds chirping, listen to the rippling of the of the um, of the stream there, observing the leaves on the trees. You know,
Did you have any points where you analyzed things from your coaching career or playing career or relived stuff, like thought of new things? Like, was soccer involved in your thought process at all?
not as much as I thought. It did. I'm going to talk about that in a second. I'll show you the end of this video and we'll get into that. Okay. I'll tell you about the things that I thought. But this is where I sat down and just reflected. And that was one of the biggest things I took away, was how beautiful nature is. We don't stop to do it enough to take in and observe what's around us. This is beautiful. And Marcus, I mean,
Yeah.
how often do we do that? I know you went through a walk this morning through the woods, okay? But how often do we do that? We get caught so much in all the bullshit. And, you know, I watch Fox News and CNN and all that crap. And I was thinking, this is more beautiful than anything that's on the TV. You know, you're back in touch with nature. It really grounds you back in touch with nature. And the big thing, being in the moment, right?
Yeah.
And that's a big thing that we learn, is being in the moment. And Marcus, one thing is for sure, and they hit home hard on this, was, look, as I said, learning to live in the moment is something we all hear and we all talk about, but we rarely do. It's impossible to live in the future, right? Impossible to live in the future, and it's impossible to live in the past. And that was an example for me, the best example that I could give you of me living in the moment when I was there. It was sitting down, taking time to meditate, taking time to really reflect on all the great things in my life, my relationship that I'm in, my kids, my job, how blessed I am, again, to have the people in that environment. And maybe most of the other times I'd be driving, I wouldn't be paying attention to people. I'd be thinking about other things. So being in that moment I think is a very important state of mind that people have got to search for, you know, and trying to catch
I don't
that.
think anybody really does that, Greena. I think that's a rarity if people really take time for stillness. I think that's very rare.
And it's a game changer. You know, my friend, I think it was Tico, who told me, we were talking about meditation, my friend in Puerto Rico, he was telling me, when you leave there, he says, you're going to be light. I didn't understand what he meant. And when I got back in the car traveling home to Connecticut, I understood completely what he said. You're a different person. You're a transformed person. Whether that lasts or not, you'll eventually begin to saturate back into maybe a certain lifestyle. But I hope I don't lose that feeling. But let me finish. Let me show you a couple of more things here, and we'll get into quickly what I learned. And then that. So Marcus, these are the boys who I went into battle with.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that's not all. That's not all of them. Some of the other guys were actually cleaning out the bedrooms and mopping floors and everything. That's as many as we could gather at that time. But you know, you got Chief there, you got Young Gun, you've got Cannonball, you've got The Rock, we've got State Farm, we've got Big Bang, and I mean, we could go on and on and on. These are the greatest guys I've met. And listen, let me tell you something about these guys, is that, like I told you, answer me this. Again, how do you become so close to a group of men, a group of people that you've never met, never talked to? It was an unbelievable experience. Have you ever, if you've never meditated, Marcus, in a hall with a group of people, it's an incredible experience. It's one thing meditating yourself in the gym or your bedroom, whatever, but to to sit there meditating. So when we got there, the first thing we did, everybody quietened down, settled into their position. And then there was a thing called a sitting of discipline, okay, where you absolutely, most of the meditation sessions, you're allowed to wiggle around a bit to get comfortable. Again, I don't want you to be uncomfortable. But there are regular sittings of determination where you could not move an eyelid. Eyes had to be closed all the time. Your hands had to be closed. Your legs had to be closed. You could not open your hands. And when I say complete stillness, complete stillness. And then on top of that, there would be audio tape of Joanki, that Indian guy. He would be given some instructions. And you'd be sitting there, total stillness. And the power of that total stillness, when you're with 50 other people for an hour in that meditation, and it resonates throughout everybody, that feeling of oneness, that feeling of common goal, it's a spiritual feeling. It's not a religious feeling. It's a spiritual feeling. And it's real. It's profound. And then I thought about, a lot of these different religions, like Muslims come to mind when you often see pictures of Muslims, all kneeling together and praying together. And you get a little understanding of the power and the energy of when there's group meditation, it is spiritual. I felt something there. It was a great thing. And that's what I think at the end of it, when you've been through it all, it makes it just an incredible experience, because you didn't go through it. You never went through it alone. You never went through that experience alone.
It's so interesting, group dynamics and energy. You're a big fan of David Goggins, right? And he always says, when you go through Hell Week with these guys, when you have to go on a mission, he's like, you're not fearful because you know that every guy on your right and left has gone through what you went through, and they're just as hard as you. He's like, so you have complete faith.
Absolutely. I mean, again, the first 3 days.
I don't know if Goggins is a great example of meditation.
The first 3 days, Marcus, when we were there, it was all about how to meditate. A lot of people are put off. They don't want to do it because they don't really know how to meditate. Well, nobody knows how to meditate unless you try. Nobody was born how to meditate. Everybody was taught to meditate. So it takes you about 3 days. One of the big thing in the 3 days, what you do is focus. You've got to narrow your focus to meditate well. So you have this guy who's narrating the video, Gwenki, who was the founder, who revitalized it. And so we're listening to his audio while we're meditating. Now, I wanted to punch his face, because we're meditating for an hour and you hear his voice. And his voice is not the greatest voice in the world. It's a rough Indian dialect. Even some of the Indian people had struggled to understand him. So I would say about 40% of the information was very hard to understand. You're not taking notes, right? Don't freeze the frame and have a Q&A. It's just fast forward 90 miles an hour. You got to digest it. Mentally, you have to digest what you're saying. And it's very difficult sometimes because you miss it. There should actually, my recommendation to them at the end was they should have subtitles, when you're watching the videos, because it's very difficult to understand. So be prepared for that if you go on this course. But he guided us through meditation the first 3 days, where you learn to meditate. You focus on the nostrils and the upper lip. This area right here you focus on, okay? We didn't breathe through the nose and out through the mouth, okay? Some people who meditate will take a deep breath and exhale through the mouth, okay? But it taught us to breathe through the nose and exhale through the nose, for the simple reason that they want to focus this area, narrow the area, not have a bigger base to focus on. And also, when you exhale through the nose, you'll feel a sensation on your lip. You follow me? Mm-hmm. So when you exhale, you'll actually feel it. It might be a cold. The air you breathe, exhale might be cold, might be warm. So the second part, the second 7 days, elevates from learning how to meditate and get you into that, position, that state of meditation, which I struggled for, because my biggest mistake, Marcus, and this is my advice to anybody who's considering this, I went in with a predetermined agenda, because when I was the days leading up there, I said, I want to think about this situation, that situation. Mm-hmm. I want to finalize some decisions I made in my life situations. I'm going to kick them out and clear the closet a little bit, you know, metaphorically. Okay. So when I got there, I was meditating and I started to purposely think about specific situations, you know, like grabbing them off the shelf and analyzing them. And it was difficult to do that. It was hard to really, it's much harder than you imagine to pull a situation and sustain it under meditation. And the other thing was, what's your relationship with time like? Do you have a good relationship with time?
Clarify that.
Can you tell it, if there was a clock, what time is it right now, Marcus, without looking?
Yeah, I'm pretty good with time.
What time is it now?
2:00.
Not bad, 2:05. Okay, so that's pretty good. So people have good. My relationship with time, I thought was pretty good also. When you're meditating, they say there's going to be an hour, so that's your end goal, an hour, right? So
yeah,
complete silence. You're sitting there, you're meditating, you get into it. Your mind starts going after half an hour, 40 minutes. What you think is 45 minutes. You're battling it out to try to reach the hour. You get to the hour, you're still meditating. The guy's still talking. So now it goes on like an hour and 10 minutes. Now an hour and 15 minutes, right? You're thinking, is this guy effing with me? Is this guy pulling my chain here or what? Is he doing this on purpose? Is he messing with my brain? Your concept of time just vanishes. It's like, I was like, and he was kept on talking and mentally I was just punching this guy in the face, telling him, shut up, you motherfucker. You know, this is what I'm saying. Now, like, remember I was talking about noble silence where you're not allowed to talk to anybody?
Yeah.
It's a contradiction of terms. You might not be talking with other people, but you have the biggest conversation you've ever had in your life with yourself for 10 days upstairs. You're talking out loud in your brain, you know, and I was calling this guy a mother, you know, and so third day I said, I can't do it. I'm struggling, you know, I'm fighting it. You know, I'm fighting the time. This guy's getting annoying. His chanting during the audio is just driving me freaking crazy. It's like that torture, you know, when prisoners get tortured and they play loud music to them and, you know, for the brain and drive them crazy. It was like that. It's just the thing he was doing, it didn't even sound good. I couldn't understand it. Driving me nuts. It was like real torture to me. And then it was either I come up with a solution, Marcus, or I was walking out the next day. So the solution I came up with was I imagined that I was at the Grand Canyon, right? And I was at the river in the Grand Canyon on a raft. You know those rubber rafts they have when you go down the rapids, right?
Of course.
So this was my metaphor that got me through. I said, okay, I'm at this dock and there's a big rubber raft and there's a guy there who's telling me, listen, we're going to go on this trip down this rapids for 10 hours, right? That's how long the meditation was. We're going to get on this raft for 10 hours, go down there. And you can get on. I said, you can get on, but you understand it's going to last 10 hours, right? I said, yep. I'm having the conversation in my head. This was the exact conversation in my head. I said, yep, I understand. 10 hours. Okay, you can't get off after 8 hours. You can't get off after 7. You got to stay the full 10 hours. You only can get off when I tell you can get off, not when you want to get off. As long as you understand that, you're fine. He says, only one other condition. I said, what's that? This is what I'm saying to myself. He says, you can never ask, are we there yet? Right? Once you're on this boat, you go for the ride, enjoy the view. And so the next time we went to meditate, I pictured myself in this boat, in this rubber raft. I got on it. And I committed never to think about, are we there yet? Is this the end? And just enjoy this great, beautiful scenery. And the other trick I pretended that his horrible voice and music and chanting was better than Bob Marley singing, right? You know how much I love Bob Marley. I said, look, this guy, next time I hear him, I'm not going to hit him because that's just a reaction to that noise. That's just a sensation that I'm having to his noise. I'm going to change that sensation to make me feel good. And so when I heard him do it, felt he was good, got on the boat, it was no problem. Bang. That's what put me over the edge to get me through the 10 days. I just changed my mentality. The next 7, and we'll get to some conclusion now. The next 7 days was all about everything from, they learned to obviously core values of just being a great person, and not, they do have Indian names and stuff like that, but the core values that they really work on and teach you and try and reflect are generosity, which is called dana; sila, which is morality; nekahama, which is renunciation; pana, wisdom. They teach you a lot about wisdom, and they've got virara, which is effort; kahanti, tolerance; saka, truth; strong determination; metta, which is self-love; and equanimity, which is a balance. And those are the core things that they teach you on this course. The next level was scanning your body. Okay. And I didn't really get that. I didn't feel it when I was there. That's common with some people who go to this course. Other people can scan their bodies, and basically you get to a deep state of meditation through focusing on your breathing until you get in that state. And you can recognize and feel, actually see sensations inside your body. So you scan from head to toe. You'll do it like with eyes closed, like a visual scan with your eyes closed. And then you'll focus on certain areas of the body. Right. The thinking behind it is that, well, listen, Marcus, I'm sure you know that nothing on this universe is solid, right? Yeah. That chair you're sitting on is not solid. Your computer is not solid. The road you're standing on is not solid. The wood is not solid. Nothing on this planet is solid. At the molecular level, it's vibrating. Okay, if you looked at everything through a best microscope in the world, you'll see the atoms actually vibrate. Okay, it's not standing still. And with Vipassana meditation, the strong belief is that your body will send out sensations in your body, and with your body reacts to all different kind of sensations. Some of the obvious sensations your body reacts to is the cold, right? You get cold, your body can feel that's a sensation. Hot's a sensation. If you nip yourself, right, with your fingers, that's a sensation. You feel pain. Okay. You might feel a throbbing sensation, a pulsating sensation. You ever had nerve damage, or you ever had the stinging, yes. the heat? You can tell between a sprain or a nerve damage. The nerve damage, it's different because it feels warm, doesn't it? It's a different sensation. It's very sharp. So your body's sending different sensations, and what they believe in Vipassana, and this was really interesting to me, and believe me, I didn't get it yet. I'm still working on this, but let's say that everything that happens in life. So you're yelling at me, and I get pissed off. Okay, that's a reaction to you yelling. Okay, your body is going to have a reaction. Okay, what I'm feeling is not you yelling. I am feeling the reaction it causes in my body. Are you following me on that?
Yeah.
You yelling doesn't hurt me or concern me. It's the sensation that it brings from those atoms cause sensations in your body that are either good or not good. Okay? So it's how to control that, how to suppress some of those sensations that you have. Not like if you're addicted. If you're addicted to alcohol, okay, is suppressing those sensations that cause you to want to have a dependency on alcohol and drugs. So it gets very, very deep. It's complicated. I don't understand the whole process yet. I haven't mastered it. It can take you a long time through meditation to master that. But the people who are there, who've been there many times, they can scan their body and they feel it. They feel parts of their body, the sensations in their body. And basically what they ask you to do is be aware of your body. I'll give you a little example. When you're meditating, your nose might get itchy, right? Or your ear might get itchy. And you don't stop meditating to scratch your ear, scratch your chin. It's a sensation. It's an itch. It's a sensation. Try this the next time you're itchy, okay? Don't scratch it. Just sit there for a minute or two, and it goes away. And the big thing about the core value of what they teach you is that understanding that, hey, everything passes in life. Everything. You don't own anything. That house you got there that you're sitting at right now, you don't own it. You can't take that with you. It's not a belonging you're going to have hereafter. You're borrowing it. The pain you might feel on a certain situation in your life is temporary. It's not going to last forever. You can recall situations where, whether it was the death of a loved one, or you lost something, or you were disappointed you didn't get an opportunity you think you should have. It doesn't last, right? That pain eventually dissolves. Love. Now, how many times you've been in relationships where maybe you thought you loved somebody or you cared about somebody, and love's never everlasting. Relationships come and go. I mean, half the people in America are divorced, and embracing that and understand that. So if you're going through a tough time as a person, it's very important to understand that it is temporary. This is, nothing lasts forever. And that is critical, because if you're thinking this is how it's always going to be, that situation, that can be really detrimental to you. But that was one of the big things for me that I took away. But got to the 7th day, got to the 10th day, Marcus. It was the greatest day. It was fantastic. I got to talk with the other guys. I think one guy in the whole group out of 20 assumed that I was English, right? I didn't know why, but assumed that nobody knew I talked English because I hadn't talked to anybody. So that was a surprise. But one of the best experiences that I had there truly was at the last night. You're supposed to be in bed at 9:30 and supposed to be asleep by 10:30. The last night, when they allowed us to talk, there was 5 of us, 2 young guys, one guy about 19, the other guy's probably about 22, and me, and this other guy who's in banking, high up in banking, I think Capital One or something like that, and a guy who's a doctor, okay, internal medicine, the guy who I told you who lives the next town over. 5 of us sat there on the floor outside my dorm room and talked about life, right? And it was the most incredible conversation. We talked for an hour. We talked about Bitcoin. We talked about religion. We talked about history. We talked about algorithms. We talked about creating job opportunities. We talked about relationships. You could not cram as much into an hour conversation. An hour and a half is what we did. And it epitomized, for me, it was a very special moment, because it epitomized for me is that all these different people together, these younger kids who were there, a couple of them, and all the guys like me, that we sat down and we shared experiences and we cared. And it was basically like mentors for these young kids, give them advice and ideas and stuff like that. And it epitomized everything about being kind and being thoughtful about and being grateful for other people and appreciating the love and compassion of other people. And they were there for the same reason we were there. And it was the most remarkable, intimate, friendly, insightful conversation that I've ever had. Basically, one of the ones that I've ever had. That it was incredible to. I think it might have been exact. It might have been magnified for the fact that I was speaking, for the first day after 10 days. We were enjoying talking and listening to somebody's company and their perspective, and the fact that we had no clue who they were. We guessed, and it was just exciting to find out what they did and who they were and all this kind of stuff. But great conversation. The guys that I was with, even though I didn't know them, Marcus, they'll be in my heart forever. Honestly, they'll be in my heart forever. They were the kindest, most interesting people that I've met anywhere in my life. Phenomenal. It truly, truly left an impact on me. I'll just share some of the things to wind off the last 5 minutes here. Some of the things I learned. These are 10 things. 11 things I learned to take away. So if you're considering, if you're watching this show right now, you're considering about doing this, or maybe yourself, Marcus, think, okay, what's the back end? What's all that sacrifice? What did you get out of it? What words of wisdom did you get out of it? And the bottom line is that, number one, meditation can help coaches and players. Okay. Even at its fundamental, sorry, that is the wrong list I'm working off right there. Where is my other list? Just bear with me, Marcus, because I told you my printer didn't work, right?
Yeah.
And so I had to, here we go. So meditation can help coaches and players, Marcus. That's what I learned, okay? I said, even if it's at a fundamental level, the use of meditation can help anxiety, stress, and depression. It's a relatively easy technique to grasp after a few days of practice. So number one, unquestionably, meditation should be, and I'm endorsing this big time, should be in the regimen at any age with kids. You know Elvis out in England there, right? You know
Yeah.
Elvis, he's working with 9, 10, 11 years of age. He meditates with those kids at the end of practice. He's one of the few coaches on this planet who does. It's a phenomenal lesson. He's years ahead of his time. And that is something that you can do. I endorse meditating. If you got a college team, a pro team, semi-pro team, youth team, girls, boys, any age, listen, give them some basic tools in which they can decompress after practice, okay? That they can go home. Look, we're dealing with anxiety. We're dealing with depression, right? We're dealing with all these different things. And Marcus, you know that a lot of kids have no tools, have no equipment to go home and deal with it. And who knows what their who knows what their home life is like. And you think about football all the way around the world, how seriously we take it and how seriously people take that home. Coaches take a lot of baggage home with them, and they take it out on the wrong people. Often take it out on their spouses, take it out on their girlfriends, take it out on their kids. They're pissed off, they haven't won a game, or they lost a game they should have won, or some problems with the team. They take that home. Don't take it home with you. You know, keep it separate.
How many times, Greeno, is a coach's ego so closely attached with wins and losses? You know what I'm saying? It's a tough thing. You got to separate all that.
Yeah. So meditation, and I think again, few players have the tools, and coaches have the tools to decompress after competition or training. We cool down physically, but not mentally, and that's a key thing right there. You know, most organized teams who are educated in football know the value of cooling down physically. You'll see them cooling down after a game. I haven't met one coach who has a discussion about cooling down mentally after a game or practice. What are you providing them? Doesn't necessarily have to be, because obviously if it's a cold day, you're not sitting out meditating. But if it's a nice day, if it's nice, you know, it's a nice day outside at the end of practice, take 10, 15 minutes to have a group meditation. As I told you, a group meditation is so much more powerful than individual meditation, because you really feel it. You really feel the closeness of the team. At the bare minimum, you're going to give them the tools to meditate. So when they get back to their house, get back to their dorm room, get back to their apartment, they can decompress from their game. They had a bad game. You know, they're getting down on themselves. They have a tool. From what you learned,
how long do you think that needs to be? 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes? What do you think?
At the minimum, I would say ideally 15 minutes. If you can find 10, 15 minutes, it'll give you more benefits than nothing for sure. After this retreat, Marcus, they highly recommend that I meditate for 2 hours a day. I haven't been able to, but I want to gear it up and do more and more. But 2 hours a day is a lot to find, right?
Yeah.
But it's not, but you know what? It's not. Get up earlier. How many hours a day do you waste watching Fox News or the TV or some crap on the telly? I did. I knew that, you know. I used to I didn't use every single hour of my day efficiently. But Marcus, and we talked about this, they've proven from a physiological standpoint, the more you meditate, the less you need to sleep, right? Because the energy resources in your body, you're not consuming energy. It's not like you're running around, right? You're sitting there conserving that energy. So monks get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And they work and meditate all day. They're up at 3 in the morning. I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I thought that's going to be a nightmare. It wasn't. Second day, it was fine. I'd get up and take a cold shower. Freezing cold shower to wake me up. You know, that's another great tip. Second thing was the power of group meditation. Okay. The experience of the group meditation is a powerful one, spiritual one. I experienced an entire group become so connected and committed. They didn't even know each other. They hadn't even spoke to each other, out of eye contact with each other for 10 days. The spirit of unity and common cause was prolific. Teams understand this. I shared this with you. If I had a serious team right now and I had the time, I would make my team come in for 5 days and do a similar course, a 5-day meditation course, where they couldn't speak, no eye contact, focus on themselves internally, spiritually for 5 days. It's phenomenal change. You can't get that on a soccer field. You can't replicate that in a soccer field.
No.
There's a common cause. As players and coaches, we all come from different journeys to our own teams, right? All your players are from all over the world, Marcus.
Yeah.
They've all come on that different journey. And but at the heart of it, they all have a desire and a commitment I think at the core level, to develop in their spiritual life in their inner world as well as soccer. Okay, to become, for them to become a better person, to become a better teammate, a better citizen, a better son, a better father, a better brother someday. That surely helps your team, right? Doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, the sport of soccer in general should do that, and the coaches are, a major part of that, right? We got to drive that.
I would imagine if any serious program that would be at the heart of the core values of any serious program. Those qualities, to be that better person for everybody around him. And you know what it is? And to have motivation that's not driven by money, that's not driven by ego, that's not driven by fear. Because a lot of people are driven by fear, feeling to fail. When you get to a level of motivation, the best motivation is motivation that's driven by love. Like you said, when you expect nothing back in return, you do it because it's the right thing to do. You're a better person because it's the right thing to do. Or, Marcus, your motivation for coaching soccer is a fantastic example. And I said this to Brandon Kidd the other day when I was writing this. Brandon Kidd and people like yourself are the superb example of motivation driven by love of the game. You love football. You love helping people. You love helping coaches. And there's a sincerity to that. You're not in it because of the money. That's great, but that's not your ulterior motive. You're in it because you are in love with the game of football. You're in a relationship because it's driven by love. You're with your partner in life, your soulmate, because you love her and you love your kids. Whenever your motivation is driven by love, it takes it up to a massive different level in life, changes your life.
I mean, for me, right, Pele is the example of this, right? That's what that's his one thing. He always says the game is about love. And it's, sometimes it's simpler said like that. You know what I'm saying? Because his actions and that one word. And, for me, that's what it's about. That's why, for me, I was watching Ronaldo the other day when he played, and I think it was his teammate there. What's his face? The striker. Anyways, congratulate him on making an early kick, even though it tied the game up. And for me, those things are really, really important, where we have to start to look at soccer in a more holistic way instead of, everything is cutthroat. We have to win. We can't celebrate. We can't have fun after the game just because we lost. All that stuff for me is a little bit nonsense.
Yeah. And people who are misguided in a way look at meditation and just like, hey, some deep breathing exercise here to get you to chill out. It's not. It's a lifestyle. It's a mental wellness. Let me tell you this, Marcus. Marcus, all right, if I said to you, once you turn old enough to drive a car, if I said to you, hey, Marcus, pick a car. Okay, so go ahead and pick a car, Marcus.
Okay. Lamborghini.
So you got a Lamborghini. What color do you want?
I'm taking black.
So you got a black Lamborghini when you're 16, right? You got your driver's license, okay? Now, Marcus, are you happy with that car?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, here's the bad news, right? Or the good news, however you take it, or you're fitting it. You're not allowed to have any other car your entire life. That's the only car you will ever have your entire life. Okay? So what would you do with that car if you only had one car till the day you died? What would you do with that car?
Take care of it.
You would take care of it, right? You would change the filter. You would go in for regular change. You would absolutely look after it. Hey, would it be dirty? Would it be trash inside of it?
No, I wouldn't want that.
No, it'd be pretty pristine, right?
Yeah.
Just like the car. Look at, there's only one you. You're not getting another one.
Yeah.
There's one you in this lifetime. You're not changing or trading you're in. That's it. You've got to look after yourself. Yeah. And that means mentally and physically, you've got to look after yourself. And this is a great way to do that. It is enlightening. And it's no good having a fit body if you don't have a fit mind. And just like that car, you would take care of it because you really, truly knew that's going to last you to the end. You got to treat your life the same way. Nobody's giving you a second chance. This is it. Look after yourself. And so it's just a tool for the player to look after themselves spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, for ways to handle themselves when times are tough, but also to be a much better contributor to their life, to being a better person, And so I'll finish off here. These are the things that I learned. That was the things I learned from soccer. This is my quick It's a big thing I gotta learn right here, Marcus. So meditation can definitely help coaches and players. That's for certain. Okay. Sorry, where is it? No, it's here. These are the things that I learned for me personally. A really beautiful meditation technique. That's what I learned. I know how to meditate now. That's for sure. And I can do it. Not to fight your thoughts and the time. In this retreat, I learned I was meditating and trying to resolve past issues. You just got to allow to be in the moment. That was a big lesson for me. Okay. Presence. Immerse myself in the retreat allowed me to be more present in every day. You can only experience the present, not the future. We talked about that. To be more mindful about my life. I was much more aware about being more mindful about my life. It really underscored for me how blessed I am. You know, as I said before, people come up when they meditate, they come up with all these bad thoughts. And I couldn't do that because I'm truly, truly a very happy man. Very, very happy person in my life. I realized that nature is peaceful and calming. Nature is good. Get yourself out for a walk in the woods. Go to the park. Get back in touch with nature a little bit. Everything is impermanent, and we just talked about that. You know, everything, love, hate, anger, all these things that you feel, injuries, they're not forever. They don't last. And so keep that in mind. Observe more. Observe people more. Don't judge, you know. And be comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. Those 10 days were very uncomfortable with me, but get comfortable feeling uncomfortable. It's okay. That's how we grow, right? That's how we challenge ourselves. That's how we grow, by getting out of our comfort zone. I learned I didn't miss social media at all, and I didn't miss TV at all. Not once did I miss it in all 10 days. My mind had become trained to watch social media, TV, getting this rhythm of things every single day, repeating, being a hamster on a wheel. Once I was out of that, I didn't even think about it. So your mind will adapt to any situation if you put it in, okay? And the final thing was gratitude. Gratitude for the food that people give me on the course. Gratitude for the knowledge that people shared free of charge, that they give their own time to make me personally, I feel a better person. And I'm gratitude for the people around me and the life I've been given. And I reflect on that. I think it's when you reflect on things, and you can only appreciate your true life and your true meaning to be here if you reflect, you know, and look and around you and see all the great things that are there to you as a person. But Marcus, I would thoroughly recommend this course to anybody. My biggest regret about that course is that I didn't do it when I was 20 years of age, because I have had hurdles to cross. You know, I'm 62 now. I've had hurdles, personal issues, and different things went through in my life, like anybody else. Had I been knowledgeable, had I been equipped, had I experienced this retreat when I was 20, I think about how I would have navigated those waters maybe a little bit differently. Maybe not have suffered as much.
I'm looking forward to a Soccer Coach TV PDF file of what you learned and all this stuff. I'll be
going to be putting that online about again, those are my experiences. People who are interested in going, I say get online. The link is on my YouTube channel and my Facebook. If you reach out to me personally, if you want any more details about it, it's free. You might have to be patient. I don't care whether you're in New York. I don't care whether you're in Puerto Rico or the UK. They have one in London. I don't care where you are in the world. Brazil, they have them there. It is the best thing you'll ever do. It will change your life. You're not going to come out like a Buddhist monk and be this cult guy who's going to change things. It is going to center you. It is going to give you tools to deal with tough situations in your life. And I promise you, you'll be a better person. I feel I'm a better person coming out of it. And that's what I wanted, to be a better father, better partner for my girlfriend, a better coach, better understanding. And I think my players are going to benefit in the future from my experience of introducing meditation to all my training programs in the future. Good. Marcus, I want to thank you. I love you, son. You know that. And I've told you that a million times. I'm not telling you this because I've been to retreat, but you know I love our friendship and I appreciate it. We've got some great people who showed up here today, a lot of people online. And, it's got great people who follow us, Marcus. And Michelle Maria here. She had been watching, and Akash Lennon. Really, thank you, Akash, for coming and watching the show. I got my beautiful sister Jeanette. She's from Newcastle, England. She's my #1 fan. I'm her #1 fan. She's the best. And let's have a look. Hey, Jerry, we've got Jerry here. He looks a lot like Messi there, doesn't he?
Yeah, like Messi.
He does. Incredible. But thank you. Salute you too. I appreciate it. And we got King Perlo. A salute to my mentor. Thank you. Thank you, brother. And we got Ayusha Singh. Stop and try again. I think that's to do with meditation, I think. So, yeah, you know what? Yeah, it was. So, you know what it was? Because at the start of the meditation, this guy's audio would come on and you'd be quiet and you'd be waiting for his auto and you'd be calling all kinds of stuff. And all you'd hear was, start again, start again. With a clear and focused mind, start again. And that you're just dreading those words because you know you're in for another hour of deep meditation.
Well, listen, thank you so much for having me on.
Marcus, listen, appreciate it. Look, we'll be back again soon. And listen to all our fans out there for Soccer Coach TV and Marcus platforms. Listen, your time is we really appreciate it. It's very generous of you. If you want more details about Vipassana meditation, I recommend it 100%. Go on it. It's a bit of a life changer for you. Email me at SoccerCoachTV. You can do that. Producer, SoccerCoachTV. And I'd be happy to send you all the information, even video chat with you one-on-one if you like, and share my experiences with you. So thanks again. So Marcus, until next time, my brother, I will be seeing you. I love you guys. Thanks for supporting my show and Marcus's show. We appreciate it. Good day. Enjoy your Sunday.
Soccer Coach TV, where coaches live.